Hello, welcome to my studio. Today I want to share a story with you about how being rejected from art college was a really hard thing, but also possibly a really good thing for me. I came back to art making in my early 30s after not having done anything since a child, and I loved it. I felt that making art just lit me up. It felt exciting, it felt like a world of possibility and excitement, and I loved it. So I took course after course after course, lots of part-time courses. I was working full-time, and I spent my weekends making art, and I felt very enriched and enlivened by art making. And then I thought, how do I take this further? How do I learn more? And the only way I could see to do that was to apply to university. So I applied to a prestigious art college in London, and it was the only college that I could find at the time, this was 18 years ago, that offered a part-time course. So I was working full-time, had an office job, but I could see that was the only way that I might be able to afford to go to art college to really learn more. So I applied, I got through the application, I had the interview day, and it was one of those really nerve-wracking days where you turn up with your portfolio and you drop it off in the morning with hundreds of other hopefuls, and then you come back at lunchtime, and if your name is on the door outside the office, then you have an interview. And so I had an interview, which was really exciting, and my interview was at 5 o'clock. So I'd really spent the whole day getting quite nervous about this one opportunity, my one hope for learning more about art. So the interview was not a success. I was interviewed by 3 different people, and I just was nervous, anxious. There was too much riding on it, and I didn't do my best. And I basically left the interview fairly much in tears because I knew that I had not put my best foot forward. And what happened is I got rejected, and the feedback from the tutors, well, there was quite a lot of feedback, but the only feedback that I've actually remembered, I think some of it was positive, but I've only remembered the negative stuff. The feedback was, Helen's art relies overtly on a decorative aesthetic, and she is unable to talk about her work with clarity. And the irony is not lost on me that now my art is super duper decorative and I talk about my art quite a lot. So I got rejected and I didn't know what to do next. And what I really ended up doing was just carrying on making art, and eventually I found a kind of path through to become an artist. I made loads of art, I started selling it online, I took tiny steps in the right direction, and now, sort of nearly 20 years later, that's how I make my living. And I think the things that I have learnt from that experience are that, one, there's no one path. So I thought that if I went to this art college, therefore it would provide a brilliant education and a brilliant status, and I would be able to become an artist. And that didn't happen. So I had to kind of overcome that obstacle and find a different way through, which I did. And I'm not knocking education at all. I'm an extremely large fan of art education, but it didn't happen for me in the way that I wanted it to. So when these kind of obstacles come in our path, how do we work through them or over them or around them? And I think I was very upset, but after a month or two I sort of gave myself a bit of a talking to and thought, how can I replicate what I might have had at university for myself? So I started to read so many books, I watched things online, I went on classes and courses, and I just tried to give myself my own art education. And also what I've sort of learned is that sometimes you just need to believe in yourself. So they didn't believe in me, which knocked me, but I loved making art and I knew that it enriched me and brought really lovely things into my life. So I didn't allow their criticism to define me. And actually, I'm sort of a little bit pleased with myself that now I just get to make decorative art for me, and I seem to have made a career out of it. So I just wanted to share that in case it's in any way helpful, or you're at a point where someone has decided not to choose you. I think there is power and benefit in just carving our own path sometimes and taking those obstacles as opportunities or as just points along the way. And then we say, well, what do we do now? And what I did at that point was I just said, I'm going to carry on making art. I'm going to carry on trying to find my style, develop my skills, learn as much as I can, and see what happens.